Welcome back to the vKTLW Quaestor Officer Training. In our last session, we explored the role, responsibilities, and ethical standards of the position of Quaestor. In this session, we will briefly discuss the 5 key areas of financial management in Sigma Chi, the benefits of using time management tools and techniques, and the importance of having a financial committee to assist you during your term of office. Before we get started, I want to point out that as we progress through the 5 key areas of financial management in this session, we will only spend a few minutes on each to provide an overview of their importance in the role of Quaestor. These critical areas will be covered in greater detail in future modules, and you will have the opportunity to discuss these topics with your facilitators and the brothers in your discussion group throughout the vKTLW experience. So let's get started. We have explored the role, responsibilities, and ethical standards of the Quaestor position. Now let's look at the basics of accounting. At the heart of accounting, we have the accounting equation. The equation is total assets equals total liabilities plus total equity. For our purposes, we will mostly be focusing on assets and liabilities, as they will be the basis of your chapter's cash flow during your term. In future modules, we will briefly discuss the relationship between equity and the rest of the chapter's financial operations. Basic financial management in Sigma Chi can be broken down into 5 key areas. Those areas are budgeting, accounts receivable, accounts payable, cash flow, and reporting. The diagram at right shows the relationship of these 5 areas. Although they are occurring at the same time, the diagram shows a natural progression from one process to another. We begin with budgeting, or determining the assets and liabilities of the chapter. We move to accounts receivable, where we invoice and collect money owed to the chapter. Then to accounts payable, where we use monies collected to settle payables owed by the chapter. We can then assess inflows and outflows of cash to determine our cash flow needs. And finally, we can evaluate reports generated by those processes. Let's look at these 5 areas a little closer. Budgeting is the process of estimating itemized assets and liabilities, commonly referred to as income and expenses, respectively. These estimates are made for a given period of time, typically 1 year. If your chapter operates on a calendar year, your budget will begin in January and end in December. If your budget is based on an academic year, it will begin at the start of the school year and end at the conclusion of the school year. The budget serves as a plan for your operations based on your estimates. Accounts receivable is an asset account that pertains to monies owed to the chapter by members or other individuals and entities. A few examples of receivables include local, international, pledge, and initiation dues owed by members, rent owed by in-house brothers, philanthropic contributions collected to be donated on behalf of the chapter, such as Derby Days proceeds being donated to Huntsman Cancer Institute, or receivables could be RMF fees collected from members to be paid to the Risk Management Foundation for insurance. Accounts payable are monies owed by the chapter to a creditor or simply an entity or individual it owes money to. Using our receivables examples, we can see a relationship between certain receivables and their associated payables. These examples include monies collected for international dues being owed to headquarters. Monies collected for rent could be owed to a housing corporation. Charitable donations would be owed to the charity they were collected for. And RMF fees would be owed to the Risk Management Foundation. It is important to keep accurate payables and receivables records to ensure monies are properly allocated. Cash flow is simply the flow of money into and out of the chapter. It is imperative that a Quaestor plans to collect monies on time so that he can in turn pay monies owed on time. The goal would be to ensure that you have more than enough assets or monies for the monies that you owe. This would be a positive cash flow. If you were unable to collect enough assets to pay monies you owe, this would be a negative cash flow.
You can use your budget to help forecast this relationship and plan for positive cash flow. You can compare your budget amounts to actual amounts to ensure you collect what you need, when you need it, and pay what you owe when it is due. And last, we have reporting. Financial reporting is the process of disclosing financial performance of chapter operations to the appropriate individuals for a specific period of time. From your normal financial operations and accurate recording of those operations, you will be able to produce reports to show the overall financial health of the chapter. Common reports include the balance sheet, statement of cash flows, and the income statement or profit and loss statement, sometimes called a P&L statement. If we use the income statement as a quick example, the income statement shows the revenues minus expenses of the chapter to calculate profitability over a given period of time. As you can probably guess, there is more to these 5 key areas of financial management than what we have discussed so far. This has been a quick overview of those areas, which will be discussed in greater detail in future modules. Before we get more in depth on those processes, let's take a look at a few resources that will help us on our financial journey. How you manage your time during your term of office will be one of the most important factors in your success as a financial manager. Many of the Quaestor's responsibilities are time sensitive, so knowing what you need to do and when is imperative. As the financial manager of your chapter, you are charged with sending invoices on time and collecting on dues and other receivables. You are tasked with paying important bills on time. You are responsible for preparing accurate financial reports to your chapter and to the general fraternity in a timely manner. Due to these and other responsibilities, how you prepare your calendar and the methods you use to adhere to it will be of the utmost importance. The following examples illustrate some of the benefits to initiating and maintaining effective time management tools and techniques throughout your term as Quaestor. Having an effective and realistic time management plan helps you to reduce stress, as it helps you see not only when tasks will be accomplished, but that they can be accomplished on time. Add free time, as it helps you prioritize your activities and the time associated to them, and helps you see where you should schedule free time or downtime to avoid fatigue and burnout. Increase thoroughness and accuracy, as it helps you prepare enough time to be thorough and accurate in your tasks. Improve reliability, as it helps you complete tasks on time that other people are relying on you for. Improve reputation, as it helps you manage and achieve your goals and tasks consistently, thus improving your reputation. Complete tasks on time, as it helps you see when tasks need to be started and completed. And reuse the skill set, as time management is a relevant skill set in all aspects of life. By learning and utilizing time management, you can balance your time spent studying, working, and ensuring you also include time for your social life. This is a skill you can reuse in all aspects of your personal and professional life. Let's take a look at a few of the time management resources available to you through Sigma Chi. You can find these resources either through sigmachai.org or your officer SharePoint files. The first of these resources is the Officer-Specific Timeline, or the Quaestor Timeline. The Quaestor Timeline will provide a basic guide for tasks that will need to be completed on a weekly, monthly, semi-annual, or annual basis. It includes the term, description, deadline, or date, and the frequency that each task needs to be completed. The goal of the timeline is to help you start creating a checklist of important tasks and when they are due to ensure you give yourself ample time to complete them. From a time management standpoint, if you know when tasks are due and you give yourself enough time to complete them, you can avoid missing deadlines or trying to complete tasks at the last minute, which is not only stressful, but can distract you from other current and future tasks you should be working on. Utilize the Quaestor timeline to help you see how to record upcoming tasks, to update your calendar with important due dates, and to ensure you give yourself adequate time to complete each task. Having a timeline or calendar helps reduce stress increases thoroughness and accuracy, and ensures you complete your tasks on time. Another time management tool available to you is the Prioritized To-Do list. The goal of the Prioritized To-Do list is to ensure you are always working on the task or tasks that are most significant, urgent, or will have the largest impact over time as they relate to your position and to the chapter as a whole. The ability to prioritize your tasks will increase your effectiveness, reduce rework, reduce stress, and give you the opportunity to maximize your workflow. The functionality of the Prioritized To-Do list will become more valuable as your list of tasks grows. During your term of office, you will have responsibilities related to the position of Quaestor, as well as an executive committee member. You may decide you want to keep the tasks related to both positions within the same to-do list. You may want to separate those tasks so you are able to track progress individually. This decision is based on your preference. One is not necessarily better than the other. This workbook has been created with worksheets for Quaestor tasks, executive committee tasks, and completed tasks where you can move your completed tasks off of your active to-do list. You can see I have a few examples already entered into this list from the Quaestor timeline. To begin, enter a task's description in the cell to the right of the next available item number under the description column. Next, assign a person to the task in the Officer Assigned to Task column. Although this is your to-do list, you may delegate tasks to others while maintaining responsibility for the task completion. Entering this information will help you keep track of the tasks that you are working on and the tasks you have delegated to others. Next, assign a due date for the task in the due date column. Enter a status in the status column that is relevant to the task completion. If the task has not been started, this cell can be left blank. Once begun, a status of in progress may be helpful to know it is underway. Once completed, the status can be changed to completed. If need be, you can enter a note for the task in the notes column. On the far right, you will see our 3 prioritization factors. The significance factor is the factor used to determine a task's importance. The urgency factor is used to determine a task's urgency. And the impact over time factor is the factor used to determine the task's impact over time. The reason this factor is included is it helps distinguish a task's impact on the future when all other factors are similar. Once all 3 prioritization factors have been entered, the priority factor calculates automatically. You can then sort the list so the task with the highest priority becomes your first task, with all other tasks following based on their factor. For more detailed instructions on using the Prioritized To-Do list, click on the Instructions tab in the workbook. There you will find step-by-step instructions for using the Prioritized To-Do list and sorting tasks by their priority factor. The final time management technique we will discuss is time blocking. The time blocking template can also be found in your Quaestor SharePoint file. Time blocking can be done using a daily or weekly format. If your days are significantly different, you can schedule time blocks that are relevant for each day. In this example, you can see time blocks set up for tasks such as attending class, showing up for a work shift, and even time set aside for Quaestor responsibilities. If your days are similar, you may want to use a weekly schedule. It follows the same format with the days of the week for each task filled in. By using time blocking, you can ensure you allocate an appropriate amount of time for each task. For further instructions on time blocking, click on the instructions worksheet in the time blocking workbook. Another recommended resource is the use of a financial committee. The purpose of the financial committee is to help prepare and recommend a budget to the chapter, to ensure financial controls are in place, to approve payment contracts with brothers, to review financial statements prepared by the Quaestor before presentation to the chapter, and to conduct an annual audit. The members of the Financial Committee should represent the general chapter. Members of the Financial Committee could include the Quaestor as the chairman, an alumnus financial advisor for general counsel and to represent alumni of the chapter, the recruitment chairman to represent new members, a member at large who is elected by the chapter to represent the active chapter, and the assistant Quaestor who is also a voting member. Some chapters already have established committees and they may have different members. The committee should meet monthly and the results of the meeting should be shared at the next regular chapter meeting. A key task of the Financial Committee is to help the Quaestor prepare a budget for the chapter. The Financial Committee should invite various officers to present their plans for the coming semester in order to gain a better understanding of the financial requirements of their position. The Financial Committee should also review recruitment plans to estimate income from new members, to review income from existing members, and to review expenses for social, recruitment, brotherhood, derby days, RMF, semi-annual dues, and any other activities of the chapter. The activities of the chapter should be aligned to the chapter's ability to pay for those activities. Once the Financial Committee has received all the input and reconciled planned income and expenses to ensure the chapter does not operate at a loss, it should provide a budget to the chapter for final approval. The Financial Committee should also take responsibility to review any proposed payment plans by brothers to pay their dues and fees. This is to ensure fair and equitable treatment of all brothers. They should also review the chapter financial statements. By reviewing the financial statements, the committee ensures that receipts are being properly recorded, cash, check, and credit card payments are reflected on the income statement and deposited into the proper bank accounts. One of the most important tasks of the Financial Committee is performing an annual audit to ensure compliance and accuracy of all transactions and entries performed by the Quaestor. Other financial items that should be reviewed on a regular basis by the Financial Committee include who has access to debit or credit cards, that receipts are written for the collection of dues, especially when cash and checks are used for payment, and to ensure receipts are collected when reimbursing members for chapter purchases. They should also take a look at bank statements and make sure they are reconciled to the chapter's accounting system. And finally, there should be copies of invoices for every expenditure. The Financial Committee should ensure that these are filed properly. As you can see, having a functional Financial Committee is an integral part of chapter financial management. The Quaestor should not have the sole responsibility of making all financial decisions for the chapter. As the chapter finances greatly impact the overall success of the chapter, having a high-functioning team to support the Quaestor will help ensure the financial and chapter goals are attained.
This concludes the module on the 5 key areas of financial management, time management, and the Financial Committee. For more information regarding these topics, check out the online resources available through sigmachi.org, your chapter officer SharePoint files, or from your own chapter records if available. Remember to take part in the online discussion related to this officer training module with your facilitator and the members of your Quaestor group.